Hi, I'm here to tell you about an amazing group of people in Rock Hill, South Carolina. This group's been around for almost 20 years now, and it's a group I'm proud to say I've been a part of since almost the very beginning. This is their story, our story. The Council of Neighborhoods truly is an amazing group. We'll learn more about their structure, how they function, and what they've been doing for the past 20 years a little later. But first, let's talk about where the idea of the Council of Neighborhoods came from and how they came into existence. Russell Allen was city manager here in Rock Hill, South Carolina between the years of 1982 and 1989. He is generally the person that's credited with the idea of forming a group like the Council of Neighborhoods. Let's hear what he has to say about where that idea came from and about the formation process.
The idea of the Council of Neighborhoods did in fact come out of neighborhood empowerment initiatives. When I was there as city manager, I had probably almost 20 years of experience as a city manager when I first came to Rock Hill. And I had always thought that by doing the same thing for neighborhoods, everybody deserved the same level of service from the city, and that was my job, is to make sure everybody got the same level of service, not more, not less. And I really learned that really was not the right way to look at my job. Neighborhoods across the city need different things. They're in different conditions, different states. And so we began the Neighborhood Empowerment Initiative to try to engage with citizens in the community, get them excited about their neighborhood, share with us what their challenges were in the neighborhood. So as I proposed budgets to the City Council, I would have a better idea of how to propose things that were needed in neighborhoods and how we could customize our services to make sure that we were serving people in the community, that we were spending the community's resources appropriately and getting the best bang for the buck, rather than just what I thought it was or simply what we council members as elected representatives thought it was, engaging people in the neighborhoods. And so we were very successful in doing that, had some great staff that got us started on that path, not only Brandon, Richard Hemphill, Mike Kropp eventually when I was there. And they just did a wonderful job of helping neighborhoods to get organized. Leaders began to emerge. And as those leaders emerged, we felt like the next most appropriate step was to create an organization where we could capture that a little more formally. And so that was really the birth of the Council of Neighborhoods, bringing together those leaders that would try to help sustain the organization and help sustain the Neighborhood Empowerment Program. When we formed the Council of Neighborhoods, we didn't have a whole lot of experience across the country to rely on to see what could be done. All communities do have boards and commissions that are appointed by council members. We felt like it needed to be a little bit different model than that. We didn't want there to be any politics involved with it per se, and so this idea of it actually coming together as more a volunteer effort, a non-appointed. The community, the neighborhood gets to elect who are going to be their local leaders. Then that group comes together and decides what is the unified voice that they want to present to the city. What are the issues that they want to talk about? So not so much guided by council, but guide to council. The leadership of the first Council of Neighborhoods was truly critical to the success. I mean, that's true in any new organization. And so we all really were wondering who was going to step forward, who could we tap on the shoulder and ask if they would take on this leadership role. And fortunately, there was a Robert Hope in the community who had just a tremendous reputation among people in the community from his YMCA days. I knew him from the YMCA. He had some time on his hands. He was unafraid of anything. He was, he loved people, loved to communicate. And so he was just the perfect choice. And I honestly don't remember whether he chose us or we chose him. But it was a great match, and Robert provided the leadership. Again, everybody knew Robert, everybody trusted him, had such a great reputation in the community that it was the perfect choice for the leader of the Council of Neighborhoods. And I think you have to attribute a lot of the success to Robert, because without that early leadership, it might not have been as successful as it had been.
As you just heard Russell say, the Council of Neighborhoods is an independent group made up of volunteers from neighborhoods all over the city of Rock Hill. We're not a part of city government, but do work very closely with the city government, staff, various boards and officials and other groups to make Rock Hill's neighborhoods the best that we can be. Before we get into how we do that, let's hear just a little bit more about the early days in the formation of the Council of Neighborhoods.
Well, my earliest recollection of the Council of Neighborhoods was a discussion that I had with Melanie Brandon, who was working in Housing and Neighborhood Services at the time, I believe. And the whole notion of having neighborhood associations and how they would interact with city government and various activities that were occurring within the city was what we were trying to look at and to figure out as to how that would best serve our citizens. And Melanie and I were involved in discussion along with others about having some of the leadership from various neighborhood associations to come together on a regular basis and form a council of neighborhoods. And that council then would be a place where all of the leadership could hear some of the issues and the challenges and the solutions that were occurring in other neighborhoods, and then share that information and work together, figure out ways in which they could work together. And the whole notion here was to have a place where the idea of local neighborhood governance could interface with city government as a whole. And so Melanie had a lot of great ideas at that time, and I think together with other folks we were able to put together a plan so that we could have a council of neighborhoods. I'm not sure it had that we knew much about a structure at that time, but that began to take shape over time and certainly has turned out well.
Hi, my name is Melanie Brandon, and I was the city's first neighborhood empowerment coordinator back in 1995. Richard Hemphill and I were the city's first neighborhood empowerment coordinators back in 1995 as a part of an effort to support our community policing efforts. Management decided to start neighborhood empowerment. And Richard and I worked with neighborhoods throughout the city. And we quickly realized that it didn't matter what neighborhood we worked with, they all had basically the same goals, and that was to have a safe, clean neighborhood that they could be proud of and that their families could thrive in. And so we had the idea that maybe we should invite some of these folks to a meeting and so that they could meet each other and see what we had seen all along was that how much they had in common. And so we had our first neighborhood forum, and it was absolutely what we expected. They did enjoy meeting each other and having a chance to share their stories, and they found out how much they had in common regardless of the neighborhood they came from. And so from that we had a small group and we discussed the idea of forming a more formal group. And I remember very candidly having a conversation with the city manager at that time and with the mayor, talking about, okay, what direction would we like to see this group? It wasn't up to us, but if we wanted to somehow help the group decide the direction they wanted to go, did we have a preference? And I remember distinctly one person saying, okay, why don't we help them become a 501c3? And one person said, no, let's let them be a board or commission to council in an advisory capacity. And I remember Russell Allen saying, you know what, let's plant the seed and watch it grow. And that's what we did.
Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods members are all volunteers. We do this work because we truly love our neighborhoods and want to see them be the best that they can be. There's no cost to join us except a little time, no dues or fees, and membership is open to any neighborhood association, HOA, or neighborhood group within the city limits of Rock Hill. To learn more about joining us, just visit our website. And don't worry, it'll be listed again at the end. Okay, so now you know a little bit about us and how we got started. Now let us tell you a little bit about what we've done. starting with our very first and probably largest and most daunting project, the Arcade Mill. The mill site was located right in the middle of one of our member neighborhoods and sat closed and abandoned for years. The owners had long since declared bankruptcy and had simply walked away. If all of that wasn't bad enough, the mill somehow caught fire one day and burned, leaving piles of twisted steel, charred brick, and other rubble everywhere. To top it off, the mill site was potentially contaminated with who knew what chemicals left over in tanks and open pits all over the area. It seemed hopeless for the neighborhood until the Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods got involved. Let's hear from some of our officers and city officials, both past and present, who were there.
I can't say enough amazing things about the partnerships that were created as part of that overall project. At the time, I was not in this role. I was actually working in economic development because back then there was no housing and neighborhood services. So things have changed a lot, but it really was a great learning experience on how grassroots, neighborhood-based groups like the Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods can take a big issue and figure out a way to tackle it in partnership with not just the community and the neighbors, but also with lots of other partners like the City of Rock Hill, like EPA, like DHEC, like Rock Hill Economic Development.
No one wanted to take responsibility for cleaning up the mess. The council, being new, this was one of the first things they undertook. They didn't know better, so they went ahead and did it. It was a partnership between the city, the county, the state, the US EPA. I could go on with the number of partners we had in there, but it worked.
One of my first memories with the Council of Neighborhoods was at the press conference where we were celebrating the cleanup of the Arcade Mill site. I found it fascinating to learn that the Council of Neighborhoods had played a key role in that. They were the group that was able to secure funding for cleanup grants, and people from all neighborhoods across the city had come together to support the Arcade Mill neighborhood. And I think that was a real sign to me of how the Council of Neighborhoods works together for the good of the whole. And that was a great celebration that day when that site had been cleaned up. And I was also on the Housing Development Corporation at that time, and they were actually turning over part of the site to the Housing Development Corporation to begin redeveloping that area with affordable housing.
I was not at the meeting, which was now a long time ago, when the leader of Hagen's Fuel stood up before the council and said, "We need help. We have a mill that burned down and we don't know what to do. We don't know how to take care of this." And the council took on that project, surprisingly, even though it was an overwhelming project. And everybody is just scratching their head, what do we do? And the council joined in and they said, "We will help you." I don't think that the Arcade Mill would have gotten taken care of the way it did without both groups working together closely.
The Arcade Mill project was so huge that it spanned 4 Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods presidencies. Pretty impressive for a group of volunteers, huh? But that's not all we've done. There have been other things along the way, but our latest project has been the Little Free Library Initiative. If you're not familiar with Little Free Libraries, please check out their website coming up next, and again at the end of this film. Let's hear from some people who were involved in that project.
They've started to put them where they can do the most good. They've beautified the schools that they've put them in front of. They've included Eagle Scouts, they've included school kids, neighborhood associations, and they've got the buy-in to really make it a success and see it grow. Who knows how many? 30 right now, and in a year from now, who knows how many?
To imagine that we took an idea, a concept, and made a commitment to put 16 little free libraries at our elementary schools within the city, and to see it just explode to something that neighborhoods embraced, that our city officials embraced, that the organization littlefreelibraries.org embraced, and end up with 46 little free libraries over a 24, 28-month period of time, it still amazes me. I just wonder how it all happened with such an easy concept and people buying into it. From our school district to the students and staff with ATC, to our members, to city council and city government supporting it, our maintenance folks. Just what a testament to what an idea can become when people buy into it. And I think it helped reestablish the image of Council of Neighborhoods, and that we are a group of neighbors and friends and citizens that really care about our city and the place we live.
Without the Council of Neighborhoods, there is no way the Rock Hill School District could have achieved having the number of little free libraries that we ended up with, not only in neighborhoods within our community, but in our parks and even in all of our elementary schools, so that regardless of where our students are, they had access within just a very small geographic location of having access to books. And the whole idea was not that they just take a book to read, but they learn the importance of also giving back.
When I told you this group was amazing, I wasn't exaggerating. We've even done an anti-litter television commercial. Have a look.
Litter. It's everybody's problem. It leads to higher crime rates, lower property values, and makes our city look ugly.
Litter? Not in my neighborhood.
And not in my neighborhood either.
The Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods and Clean and Green think it's time to stop trashing our community.
Litter is everybody's problem. Working together, we are the solution.
Now in our city.
To find out how your neighborhood can set up a cleanup event, contact Elizabeth Morgan at 329-7027.
Now, at this point, you may be asking yourself, why does our city government here consider the Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods to be so important? That's a fair question. Let's hear about that from some of our city officials and staff, both past and present.
Once I became city manager, it really does help you really have an appreciation that these are real people working with real neighborhoods and really helping to interface with the city and provide really such an important link between the city and between the neighborhoods within our community. The Council of Neighborhoods always has been, I think, very respectful of the city and of the City Council and what it does. And I think in return, the City Council and the staff, I think, have really developed such an incredible relationship that I think probably from the city side, we're probably even more respectful of them because of the important work that they do. I think that our council certainly understands, and the city manager certainly understands, that we're not going to be successful in what we try to do in our mission as an organization to really meet service needs within the community unless we have really the important folks that we're interfacing with on the Council of Neighborhoods. I think that the city would honestly be spinning its wheels in so many ways trying to meet the needs of neighborhoods were it not for the Council of Neighborhoods. The council provides important focus to what we do in trying to meet our mission to really serve the people in our community. I think the council really steps in and really serves such an important role in that respect and really helps us to really accomplish our mission, which is really such an important part of what I think about as city manager and making sure that we're meeting the needs within our community. But without the Council of Neighborhoods, I have no doubt that we would not be able to meet service needs within our neighborhoods and within our community. They really are the important link that folks in our community have learned to lean on and to really reach out to help reach back to the city. I know that whenever the council was set up, one of the most important things was trying to make sure that that the folks within our neighborhoods really didn't have to think about City Hall as this sort of big mass blob over there that you really didn't know who to call or what to do or when you had an issue of any kind. The great thing about the Council of Neighborhoods and their existence is they provide that really important link and they know that you don't have to worry about calling just a general number, but there's a person that you can call. There's someone that you can reach out to within our Housing Neighborhood Services organization and really throughout the organization. Many of those members of the Council of Neighborhoods will call the city manager, which is great, and which I encourage and hope that they will, and many of them do feel comfortable doing that. And so that's an important role that the Council of Neighborhoods serves, and we look forward to them really continuing to serve that role for many years.
The Council of Neighborhoods and the City of Rock Hill were just very, very good partners in helping the communities to do some of the things that they could not do without the help of one another. But all the things that we were doing in our community, when I came in, we were in the process of getting a gazebo put into our neighborhood, and it was through the Council of Neighborhoods that helped us to get that. So again, the council and the city worked very well to do things to improve the community for all people that live within that community. That will help the entire city be lifted up to a level where the city would be very proud of all of its residents, all of its neighborhoods. So that's what I say about that. Yeah, I like that.
There's an old saying, you can't have a strong city without strong neighborhoods, and I agree with that 100%. There's no way you can have strong neighborhoods without an organizing body of those neighborhoods. And I think that's what the Council of Neighborhoods, the role it plays very well.
Well, I've always felt that one of the missing ingredients at times between neighborhoods, residents of those neighborhoods, and the municipal government was a way that they could communicate with each other effectively, and so that it would be an educational experience for the municipality. But it would also demonstrate, I think, to the residents and the neighborhood people that their government was interested and cared about things that were concerning to them, and that part of their mission was to try to be a helping influence and a positive respondent to things that they would bring to our attention. And so that's our mission, and of course at times there are things that the neighbors can bring to the table that help us to understand better what our challenges are and what might be some improvements that we could do to make that response more efficient and effective than it probably would be otherwise.
If the Council of Neighborhoods would cease to exist, in the short run, while those values and those things that we've always done would be there, I think not having that champion, not having that Council of Neighborhoods, having turnover, having staff leave the city, having city council leave the city, management leave the city, and not having that Council of Neighborhoods out there, I think we might have a tendency over time to sort of go back to the decision-making of the past, whereby the professional staff would sort of take ownership and take the responsibility, and maybe the citizens wouldn't be involved. But in my experience, there needs to be a champion out there, and without that champion, I think priorities seem to get changed over time.
I think one of the big accomplishments of the Council of Neighborhoods was to have this place where citizens and citizen leaders could convene for the purpose of learning more about their city and also offering services. We've got a lot of talented people who see themselves and are involved in citizen leadership roles, who serve the city in so many different ways. They serve on boards and commissions. They attend the Inside Rock Hill program. They learn about their city, they learn about their community, and the city then is able to share that information back with citizen groups. And what we then establish is ambassadors for the city, and citizens all over this community become ambassadors in sharing information about the community. And in that regard, I think it has been a tremendous benefit to the city of Rock Hill as a government entity, and then to our citizens as a whole, to have this forum in which all of this kind of information exchange can occur.
I think the Council of Neighborhoods is a benefit to the city in 2 or 3 ways. First of all, it can be a kind of informal, unofficial sounding board for some of the things that leaders of whatever level are trying to accomplish and trying to get some feedback from. We have no illusions that we are a governing body in any way, but we are a sounding board, and it also gives, because in many of our monthly meetings we have city officials that will be sharing with us, and those question and answer times give not only us information from the city, but allows the city to gain direct information from representatives of various neighborhoods in the city. Also, it allows us, and is a benefit to the city, because we're able to bring together certain groups that can be of benefit hands-on in different things, from all the kinds of things of neighborhood empowerment, development, helping needy neighborhoods, helping in city celebrations and those kinds of things. The sky's the limit on what each group can do for the other, and we hope that will continue in the future and even increase.
Well, now you know who we are and what we do. If you're watching this in another city or state and are wondering how you might be able to start a council of neighborhoods where you are, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to give you any help or advice we can. We've done it before. Finally, in closing, I think it's only fitting that we hear from our current City of Rock Hill Mayor, John Geddes, and our current Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods President, Aubrey Smith, and let them have the final words. Thank you for watching.
What I'm excited about is the change that's coming and the seat at the table that the Council of Neighborhoods has in that regard. And I believe, due to the people that are on the Council of Neighborhoods that I know personally, to those that will join the Council of Neighborhoods once they see a vision for our city as it relates to our neighborhoods and how we get after these issues that really are holding us back as a community, I think that we'll see the real impact, or I think the real impact of the Council of Neighborhoods is yet to be seen, but just around the corner. We have an opportunity that we haven't had in some time. And that opportunity is the result of a lot of hard work that's gone on before by members of the Council of Neighborhoods, by members of other organizations in town. But we can't hold ourselves back from what we could become. And that takes vision, and that takes commitment, and that takes a little faith in what we believe we can be. And sometimes that's scary. Sometimes that's a little bit more than we're willing to consider, but with all the successes that we've had together, who else but us could take those opportunities? So I'm looking forward to working with the Council of Neighborhoods for years to come.
There's one thing I would like to say about the past of Rock Hill Council of Neighborhoods, and that is to express deep appreciation for the presidents and the boards and the members across the years of these 20 years. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into it. Nobody knows what officers and workers within that organization have done across the years of personal sacrifice, of time, energy, even money. And I have said to our board, and I have said to our entire group on different occasions and continue to say, The reason we look forward to wanting to build in the future and go forward is, if we don't, the organization collapses and all the work that has been done has been lost. Nothing that we do is because it is something that has been failed to have been done, but it is building on the foundation and the infrastructure that has been built into this organization by some very dedicated people. And we want to continue that, and the only way to continue it is to enhance it, build on it, improve it. And our appreciation goes to everyone involved in these 20 years, and just pray that through our efforts, the next 20 will show even greater success. God bless them all.
The last thing I would like to say here is it's time for Terry to buy lunch.
All right.
How was that one?